Okay, hello everybody, and welcome back to the semifinals of the AMD Dota 2 Premier League's second season. It's Orange versus RSnake, and Orange currently find themselves at a 1-0 lead in this best out of 3. Again, we have gotten to the portion of the competition where a loss doesn't necessarily mean that you are out, but if you lose in the semifinals, you're heading down to the third, fourth place decider, and there is no prize money for fourth place. So nothing is guaranteed for anybody at this point, though they will still have at least one more best of 3 to play in the competition regardless of the outcome. But I'm Baseskip, I'm here in association with Dota Talk. It's a pleasure to be casting for you guys this evening. Viewer numbers are way up. It's very surprising. I was hoping to maybe keep it, well, I wasn't hoping to keep it low-key, but I just headed back to university today, and it's been a long one, so hopefully I don't droop too much again. Hyped up on caffeine to keep on casting throughout the night. But yeah, let's keep it going. It looks like I dropped maybe a couple of frames in the last game, guys, but I think stream quality on the... Well, okay, note about stream quality, and some of you will be noticing this. My bitrate living in Australia is quite low. On the lower resolutions, it's not so noticeable. 720p plus doesn't necessarily look like 720p plus in a lot of other streams. That's just because I'm just a guy casting out of my house. That's it. Not a whole lot of support behind me, and just an Australian ADSL 2+ internet connection, which I'm sort of pushing to the absolute limit right now. It's kind of all held together with duct tape and prayers. But if anybody's interested, my microphone is definitely open in-game. There's still today and tomorrow left, so if you want to go and buy the ticket for $3, then I encourage you to do so. But the draft has progressed before us, so I'm gonna cut off the intro and let's talk about what we've going on, because it is kind of interesting. RSnake going sort of straight towards a pushing lineup with the Dragon Knight and the Nature's Prophet, and Orange, their response is going to be to pick up supports early and aggressively, and then probably look to just roam around. Again, they're going to choose to ban at the Visage. They're going to get rid of the Alchemist and RSnake. Interestingly enough, I believe did they just have first pick?
Reserve time.
Ban. Yeah, so looks like they chose to ban out both the OD. Yeah, they've got last pick, so they got first pick, and chose to ban both the OD and the Bat Rider despite having first pick. So priority is actually resting a little bit higher on Dragon Knight here. But RSnake, they've got a Nature's Prophet, they've got a DK, they've got the beginnings of a pushing lineup, but all it needs to be is a little bit more nuanced. They need the additional team fight, they need the additional pick-off power, and hopefully that'll be coming up in their next couple of heroes, so we'll see what they're going to end up going for here. The Wisp is still in the pool. Orange might choose to get rid of that, and just for now choosing to ban out a couple more cores. I'm surprised that they aren't choosing to ban out even more supports, because Orange have pretty much secured their supports right now. Shadow Demon and Nyx Assassin. I mean, Nyx Assassin and Shadow Demon can both be bumped up in terms of farm priority, and can both sometimes be mids, but we're just probably going to be seeing them as supports, which is interesting because Orange could just ban supports and not be worried at all about the consequences. But yeah, Orange just going to choose to ban out a couple more core heroes. Gyrocopter also going to get be removed here. Darkseer is still in the pool, interestingly enough, so you might see him poking around somewhere, though RSnake don't necessarily have space for him in the lineup unless we see either a very greedy lineup or something strange, perhaps, heading towards mid.
Turn to pick.
So Orange looking like perhaps the beginnings of the aggressive Orange tri-lane centering around the Windrunner. Could also just be the Windrunner mid, but I think a hero in general that Orange do love to play, and we're just going to snag that one here. We also have Enchantress as the ban, interestingly enough, for RSnake, so it looks like they want to take maybe a little bit, well, the Enchantress ban suggests a more defensive overall strategy, at least for the first 10 minutes, which the Wisp does lean towards, but after that, definitely looking towards aggression. But so they've now got the pick-off power from the Wisp in their pushing lineup. The Chaos Knight is still there. I don't know if we're going to be seeing Tiny again. Still works okay in this kind of lineup. They're not so cooldown dependent this time around, but aren't packing quite as much team fight. So they've got more push, but it's still feeling very similar to what we had last game. We have a bottle crowing mid in the Dragon Knight. We have a sort of global, we have, you know, a roaming farming off lane in the Nature's Prophet, though a little bit different from the Bounty Hunter, obviously, and now with the Wisp. We'll see how they're going to be rounding out the combo. I mean, Orange, I feel like the Nature's Prophet and the Dragon Knight are weak enough 1v1 solos that they can just look to pick up very strong solos and run an aggressive tri-lane and put pressure on the RSnake tri-lane, who are again going to be going for the Tiny. So it looks like RSnake sticking to their guns and wanting to execute pretty much the same strategy again. But Orange, I feel like maybe they just last pick another strong solo, last pick even a lone druid if they want to, put the lone druid against the Nature's Prophet, have the Queen of Pain against the Dragon Knight, and then Shadow Demon, Nyx Assassin, Windrunner as an aggressive tri-lane making its way toward the top lane. Because, I mean, Rattlesnake can still grab someone like Jakiro maybe to round out their defensive tri-lane, but again, Tiny Wisp is a very, very fragile defensive tri-lane combination. So I think Orange, things are looking good for them. They don't really have too much late game at the moment, so Rattlesnake at least favored as far as that's concerned, and maybe because of that, Orange will look to pick up somebody a little bit more semi-carry-esque for their solo safe lane. It could be an off-lane Windrunner, it could be a mid-Windrunner with a farming Queen of Pain, but I get the feeling that Orange are just looking for the aggressive try, and yeah, Rattlesnake are going to choose to very wisely, I would say, ban out the lone druid here. So if Orange want kind of a semi-carrying solo against Nature's Prophet, they're going to have to dig a little bit deeper. And who's actually available now? Gyrocopter's been banned, does okay in that 1v1. Weaver's been banned, does great in that 1v1. So I think Rattlesnake, great handle on the lone druid ban.
5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
I'm interested to see what Orange are going to grab here. I mean, they could do something a little bit off the wall. They could pick Timbersaw. There's 3 strength heroes over on Rattlesnake, and Timbersaw actually does really well in the Nature's Prophet 1v1, but he's not really a semi-carry, and I think Orange are looking for a little bit of that flavor. And Rattlesnake actually going to wrap up the tri-lane with the Keeper of the Light. So they've got tons of spam for the Tiny. They've got Avalanche toss combos all day and toss harassment, especially using the tether to keep pushing mana through to the Tiny. So it's actually a reasonable defensive tri-lane. It's very, very fragile though. Wisp and Keeper of the Light will be brought down by a light breeze. But Orange with the Lycan pickup, I'm not exactly sure what they're going to be doing with their lanes now. Looks like it might just be a defensive tri-lane, and then roaming supports looking to put pressure on the DK, put pressure on the Nature's Prophet. So they do get themselves a little bit of semi-carry out, and KYX are going to be playing that Lycanthrope. So that ping's finished. So, guys, welcome back to the AMD Premier League semifinals. This is game 2 of a best-of-3 set between Rattlesnake and Orange currently find themselves leading 1-0 in this best-out-of-3, which, being the semifinals, will determine who's going to be advancing to the grand final and who is going to be heading down to the 3rd, 4th place decider, as I said. But over on the side of Orange, we're going to have Net playing the Shadow Demon. It's Extinct, or X, on the Nyx Assassin, KYXY on the Lycanthrope, Mushi on the Queen of Pain, so a little bit more of a quintessential Mushi hero this time around for him, and Ohio will be handling the Windrunner, making his way down towards the bottom lane. No Ring of Protection picked up, so it looks like Orange definitely running the defensive tri-lane here, just with the off-lane Windrunner. We've seen Ohio do this before. He'll just look to maybe farm up the Ancients a little bit. The Treant's just going to get some vision, and Rattlesnake will be able to get a handle on what's going on. And speaking of Rattlesnake, over on their side, we're going to have Kabu playing the Wisp. We're going to have Lanham on the Tiny. It's going to be Sag on the Keeper of the Light. We've got Luo on the Dragon Knight making his way towards mid as he being pulled regen. Yes, he definitely has to deal with the Queen of Pain. And Icy is going to be making his way top as the Nature's Prophet. I like to see this kind of build from him. He's got some regen picked up, and hopefully he's going to be looking to actively block out the camps as much as he can. So almost playing an Ohio-esque Nature's Prophet. I may be incorrect in attributing this style of offlane Nature's Prophet to him, but he's the one that I've seen do it most effectively. Windrun will be cancelled. Well, no, Windrun not actually cancelled there. Ohio will just snag that point and we'll be able to run away. So I thought he'd started windrunning it, but it was just the tether sound along with the avalanche tricking me there. So apologies for that one, guys. But yeah, it is going to be tough for Ohio on this lane. If he tries to get into the lane, then Sag can just pick up a casual point in Mana Leak, and that's definitely a dead Windrunner. Won't be able to Windrun away, and if the Avatos combo connects, then she's dead. So this is kind of the alternative to the Funnick Ancient Jungling Windrunner, which sort of happens over on this side, and everybody's seen that in the last couple of days. This is the Ohio edition, where you just pull the creeps back, right-click them, pull the creeps back, right-click them, pull the creeps back, right-click them, and that's the strategy. There's no cheeky cutting a path down here and killing them Medusa style or anything like that. It's very plain. Meanwhile, on mid, Mushi's also been pulled up. He's got salves, so even more aggression from the man here, and just putting damage onto Luo as much as he can early. Again, Luo has been pooled regen himself, so he's already got his bottle finished and can just start looking to bottle Crow. So RSnake kind of thinking of how hard this middle lane is going to be for the Dragon Knight. Meanwhile, Icy, is he getting the Treant micro on top lane? Yes, he is. Looks like he's blocked out the camp successfully at least once or twice here, and the Treant's still going to be a nuisance and just keep on hiding in there. So, nicely done by Icy, and the nice thing about doing this is that it actually messes up the lane equilibrium enough. And as you can see, KYXY isn't grooming the equilibrium that much. He's putting some not unnecessary hits onto the creep wave, but you know, 1 or 2 here or there that aren't last hitting, and he's not actively denying, so he is slowly losing control of the wave, and that means that Nature's Prophet will eventually get some farm for himself. It's Wolves versus Treants. Can they kill it in time? Looks like it might be able to block unless they roll a couple more crits. No, it does manage to get the block, not enough crits. Meanwhile, Ohio's going to get jumped here just by the Wisp and the Keeper of the Light, but that's going to be your first blood. A slow one at that, but nicely picked up there by RSnake. So they know what Ohio is doing down here, and that's just it for him. I mean, he's probably going to keep on trying, but there's a sentry ward in the camp. Fortunately for him, he's not actually trying to stack the camp, he's just trying to clear it, and it'll probably take him the rest of the duration of the sentry ward to be able to finish these 2 creeps, so I think he's going to go for it anyway. They're going to get the disruption out onto Icy here, looking for the body block, not quite able to get it, net tanking up the creeps, the stun will connect, and looks like Icy going to keep on retreating further in, net going to finish it, and they will arrive right at the doorstep of the tower. KRXY doesn't have a Bassi picked up just yet, to be able to put too much pressure on the tower, so it looks like they will have to end up backing out. And RSnake already with the quick rotation up. Sag actually picking up that really early casual point in Mana Leak to try and kill off Ohio as much as they can. So I like the build, I like the fact that they went around and they killed him off, and things looking pretty good for RSnake. Though this does come at a cost, and that cost is kind of the jungle speed for the Keeper of the Light. And now making his way up to the top lane as well, means that he's not stacking, he's not farming, and Keeper of the Light can, especially with Wisp as the person that he's jungling with, can almost clear out the jungle as quickly as maybe some of the slower junglers like Lifestealer and things. So this is a very active decision to pick up the point in Mana Leak, and it is costing them a little bit. But it looks like it's now going to be Keeper of the Light taking control of the top lane, as Icy's going to be making its way into the jungle after that first death. So giving up on interrupting the wave too much on top. And it looks like RSnake just going to be settling back into counter pushing. As far as the late game is concerned here, the only real comparisons, I guess, I mean, it's DK Tiny against Lycan and Queen of Pain, really. Mushi's going to have a great start on mid and should hopefully be able to snowball that into something pretty significant. And I said a good start. This is an amazing start for Mushi. I haven't checked out the creep score for a little bit, so sorry about that, guys. But it has been up in the corner this whole time, and Mushi is 24 for 13 against the Dragon Knight's very meager-looking 9 for 0 right now. So that's going great for Orange. Top lane's going pretty well. Tiny is farming fantastically at the same time, and sped up with the phase boots, wants Ohio dead here. He's not used the toss just yet, but they're just waiting out the wind run, and that is going to be it. One more right click from Kabu going to finish it, but Ohio denied his usual off-lane farming strat, and yeah, RSnake doing a good job of kind of punishing Orange for picking up the wind runner so early in the draft when it wasn't really clear where she was going to be laned. And yeah, just going to keep putting the pressure on. Again, Sag is still top, and Icy now joining him. So 2 heroes dedicated to top lane. They're going to keep blocking out the camps to try and prevent farm. But they are impacting their own farm pretty heavily here. Keeper of the Light, uncharacteristically, has 0 last hits so far, not even dewarding anything. So that's not great for him, I have to say. Because that means that, I mean, normally the Keeper of the Light can be your mech carrier, things like that, and Icy would instead be able to focus on Shadowblade and damage and getting that Hex earlier, but with this kind of setup, RSnake will maybe be having some problems, and Orange says, screw it, we can't pull, we're just going to go gank, looking towards, again, the underfarmed Dragon Knight on mid. Mushi is, I feel like crushing is a fair word to use here. Luo's just hiding in the trees. They haven't spotted the supports top at all, they haven't been trying to kill the Treants, they're going to keep scouting out, nicely done there. But I think the dive might end up happening anyway. Orange looping around, they think that he's at the small camp, but he's not, and Ohio in some trouble, threatening the TP, but not going to be throwing it out. Orange, they are lurking. Luo feels maybe a little bit safe, but Mushi is now hasting his way in. They get the disruption, the stun, waited for Extinct. TP's going to be making its way in, but I don't think that one's going to be landing, as Orange will pick up the kill. Sonic Wave used there by Mushi, and going to try and turn this into a tower push. Do they have... Well, no. Unless the Winner has it, there's not going to be a Bassi. And oh, poor Keeper of the Light. Mushi still has haste, giving away his position there with the Illuminate. He's going to drain a little bit of mana, but it's going to be another kill from Mushi. And only 1 point in Illuminate, not really slowing down that push too much. So Keeper of the Light off to an atrocious start, but does now have one last hit. And Orange already put the push pressure on top lane. KOX are just working straight towards the Vlads. No boots, just Vlads. And I think knowing that RSnake have already invested a lot on this top lane, and it hasn't really slowed them down too much, so that's 2 heroes from RSnake to only... I mean, and Orange have only really been slowed down as far as Ohio's farm is concerned, but he's roaming and farming and just looking to participate from this point forward. And looks like Mushi is now kind of leaving the lane, so Ohio will just be able to switch over to mid. This is the pressure taken off the Dragon Knight, so Luo will slowly start to creep his way back up. No pun intended. So 20 CS for him, but the lead farmers are still Mushi and the 2 cores for each side. But Lanham, what's he got? He's again going for this aggressive phase boots build. Will probably end up heading back into a drum as well. RSnake this time around have to feel a little bit safer about their late game, so maybe there's an argument to be made for Lanham just going for the farmier build, picking up perhaps a slightly earlier Aghanim Scepter before his Yasha, things like that. Split push will still be an important tool to deal with the Lycan, to deal with the Queen of Pain, to sort of counter what they're going to be up to. But I think there is a justification for just being the farmier team here for RSnake, because I mean, while things are going pretty well for Orange right now, the experience is pogoing back and forth, and gold is only slightly in their favor. As soon as that tower is picked up, well, that tower hasn't been equalized, so Orange ahead in terms of farm that they've actually collected off the map, and it makes complete sense when they've got two of the 3 lead farmers on the map who are a long way ahead of anybody else right now. Keeper of the Light will be able to grab himself level 4 on top lane. KOXY are ready with the Vlad, so they can look towards Roshan really early on in this game, and just gonna keep farming up. As far as the warding situation is concerned, the Radiant are really trying to prevent Luo being ganked on mid. The Dragon Knight is such a stable farmer that I've often compared him to Darkseer in the fact that he's just really difficult. It's difficult to stop him farming, and as you can see, it is really difficult to stop him farming, but I think RSnake may be getting a little bit afraid of what a rough start Luo is having. But he's pretty much got treads, he's got a bracer, and from this point forward he can just push towers, and he can get himself back into the game that way. I mean, he's got Dragon Tail, he's got Breathe Fire, he's got his ultimate, he's kind of ready to rumble. Meanwhile, Mushi, looking like a very Mushi build. Looks like he's rushing towards a Dagon, just wants some more kills on the Keeper of the Light. On the top lane, he's got Sonic Wave, he's got 4 points in the Scream, and I don't think Keeper of the Light is very long for this world. Unless there is a relocate response from Kabu on the bottom lane. They are kind of ready for it. Mushi's been off the map for a little while, and looks like they've now spotted the Keeper of the Light. Is the relocate going to be in time? Can they TP people up? Nice reflect. Carapace gets the stun, and Keeper of the Light, no hope. Here comes the relocate reaction. Stun attempted by Extinct, and he's just trying to retreat now. Dodges the avalanche, but they will just be able to toss him straight out of the TP. Maybe shouldn't have gone for the stun. And did they manage to bring down the tower? KOXY snagging that in the meantime. So 1 for 1, support trade, and the tower dropping down in favor of Orange. But RSnake, the pacing of this game isn't too bad, and Ohio was just waiting for them to return on bottom lane. So down he will go. RSnake very happy to take that kill for themselves. Meanwhile, Mushi pressuring in on mid with the double damage turn. Gonna blink forward aggressively, but looks like he won't be punished for it. Maybe he will get sprouted. In comes the mana leak. Luo still holding the stun, and Illuminate will wipe him out. A little bit too aggressive there on the blink, and now Net in some trouble. Gonna throw out a bit more poison. But Keeper of the Light is will he be able to snipe it with the Illuminate? Is he going to try and leave it to the Tiny? Looks like he might. No, Illuminate going to finish it off. And meanwhile, Icy is going to TP top. No, the Wolves killed him mid. Okay. So, Wolves from KOXY get behind the tower and will actually crit the Nature's Prophet to death. He was already retreating on low HP from the Shadow Poison, and really good awareness there from KOXY with the fight breaking out to be able to pick that one up. Sorry that I couldn't have my camera on that one, guys. Just didn't spot the wolf dots moving in. But yeah, Orange just going to keep on pressuring as far as the graphs are concerned. It's still very even this game, guys, and I don't know why I'm showing last hits and eyes as far as the net worth is concerned. The primary farmers for both sides are doing well. Mushi is still ahead of the Dragon Knight, but as you can see, the DK just needs a couple of core items and is still a really big threat. And does Mushi have that Dagon just yet? Not quite. The snowball is slowing down a little bit, but Orange, they've got the Vlads, they've got a medallion. Straight into the Roshan pit. Straight into the Roshan pit they go, and we'll be able to make pretty quick work of it. Can RSnake respond at all? They do have a relocate. They've got some vision going on, but will they be there in time? I don't quite think so. They're going to bring the relocate in. Roshan just about to drop. They're splitting up the fight. Avalanche only just barely, no, not even connecting on KYXY. Now the shackle up onto the high ground. Sonic Wave thrown it onto 2. Kabu tries to retreat deeper in. Lanham almost dead. Still just alive. Poison not going to connect. Pops the drum charge, but now Orange on the charge and crits to bring down the Keeper of the Light. Maybe a bit of a questionable decision from them. They don't even have level 6 on the Nature's Prophet, so they couldn't even start the Nature's Wrath and then relocate in and get the vision and get the last couple of bounces and maybe be able to Avatos combo somebody down. So Orange, that's a huge win for them. Roshan, Aegis, and a couple of kills. And now just can turn that straight into a push on bottom lane. RSnake. The game is very precariously poised for them right now because a single lost teamfight means almost guaranteed towers down. With Orange having so much push and KYXY already 2.5k gold if he wants to work towards the Necrobook. It's not too far away, and BKB won't be too far off either. RSnake meanwhile walking down bot, relocate still on cooldown. Kabu unfortunately has to start working his way towards the mech instead of the Keeper of the Light because Keeper of the Light has diddly right now, aside from 3 death. He's got a bracer and boots, but a Keeper of the Light as the lowest farmer on the map is really a little bit uncharacteristic. So RSnake, maybe a bit too much attention paid to top lane. Icy's in trouble mid, will just be TPing himself straight out. Does he have his Hand of Midas finished? Looks like he does, but at this point, it kind of qualifies as a recovery Midas as opposed to a farming Midas. And Ohio just going to place an aggressive board and just get out. But it's being pinged, so it looks like RSnake should be able to deal with it unless they are too poor to buy sentries. And Wisp will have to slow down the mech, it looks like, to be able to afford that one. So RSnake slowly but surely losing map control. And yeah, Orange are going to place a huge number of aggressive wards here. They've got vision all over the map. These are all pretty much fresh wards, so they know exactly how RSnake are moving for the next 5 minutes. And that means that's going to shut off smoke options from RSnake. These wards are in a lot of positions where teams would typically look to smoke up, aside from maybe over here. But Orange, they've got so much vision that if multiple heroes have disappeared off the map, then it's kind of it's a little bit obvious. So right now they can see the majority of the team, and that's going to mean KYXY feels confident to just pressure on top. He is eventually going to need a BKB to keep up the split push, unless just in case he gets relocated on. But the move speed from his ultimate should, at least for the early levels, if he's got good reaction time, then he should be able to get out anyway. And with Necro units, he's pretty much always forcing somebody to sit in his lane. He's going to keep scouting out with the wolves as well. So if you didn't think that Orange had enough vision, they've got even more because of that. Ohio's in some trouble. Shackle not gonna latch, but buys them a couple of seconds for Orange to bring in TPs. Kabu, Lanham on the retreat. Looks like they should be fine. Lanham just wants the farm, but that might cost him quite a bit here. Shackle shot won't end up latching. Who's giving chase from Orange? The two smoked, well, it's not the two smoked supports, it's Mushi and Net, but they won't be able to grab anything. Meanwhile, Luo is pressuring top lane, a long way away from any kind of help, so we'll just have to back off. And this is kind of the one problem for RSnake being this far on the back foot. And now they're going to jump. Ohio looks like they will be able to bring him down with one more right click, but Orange ready to capture the retreat, and the pincer maneuver comes in as we just have the buyback immediately from the window. Lanham is the focus. Looks like they might leave Kabu to escape. They get some vision. Can they disrupt Net? Nicely done by him, and that's going to be 2 pickoffs here. RSnake losing both, and again, Orange, their side of the map is definitely their side of the map right now. Icy's doing his best to split pressure, but hasn't been able to get near any towers, and RSnake, it's a pushing lineup, but it just, again, it's kind of get a pick off and then push, and Orange getting the huge early lead. Things are just looking great for them. They're going mass Necrobooks. So Mushi not working his way towards that Dagon. Apologies for that one, guys. I haven't looked at his items in a little bit. Speaking of items, I'll bring up the overall panel if anybody's interested in terms of what's going on. So Lanham still going for the aggressive build, picks up a Yasha. Very speedy. Luo just going to work towards a BKB. Is the mech almost completed for Kabu? No, just finished up the buckler now. And Orange, both supports have arcane boots. They're both sitting in the lap of luxury, and now we're going to have a mech. Well, now we're going to have an urn picked up as well for the Nyx Assassin. So Orange still on the front foot, and it's going to be... It's difficult for RSnake to take these fights. Well, I mean, Nature's Prophet is distinctly under-leveled. The Midas is helping out a little bit in that regard, but they're just fast running out of space to farm, and Nature's Prophet can't really afford to be aggressively split-pushing with the lead that Orange have right now. So... yeah, Mass Necrobooks is going to be a big problem, and the Mass Necrobooks, if Keeper of the Light has enough levels and Illuminate, might end up killing him that way. Lanham farming aggressively, but looks like he might be in trouble because of it. Extinct running down, but no, looks like Lanham is too speedy with Phase Boots Drum and Yasha and will be able to escape.
Middle tower is under attack.
But yeah, Orange KOXY is just camping top lane, keeping the farm going, keeping the Rattlesnake heroes occupied so that Orange can take control of the Radiant jungle. They're not really farming their own jungle, they're not making too much use out of their Ancient, and Rattlesnake kind of scavenging whatever they can, wherever they can in terms of farm. As far as farm is concerned, it's now sitting at about a 5k lead in favor of Orange in terms of gold, and 4k in terms of experience. So not insurmountable by any means just yet, and Rattlesnake, I still favor them as far as the late game is concerned, but that might just be... That's kind of just looking at the lineups in a vacuum, and looking at the context right now with Nature's Prophet being really underfarmed, and Rattlesnake having heroes that are normally quite comfortably have a lot of extra gold, from towers just not really having anything right now, and they all look a little bit starved. Nature's Prophet goes for a very aggressive TP to place a ward, and I see looks like he will be able to escape. So Rattlesnake still thinking about getting those relocate pickoffs off. The rest of their vision is kind of defensive, but at least they've got something on the top lane, and that might be able to spot somebody farming, and a pickoff is a pretty big deal for them at this point. Anything that they can really get. Extinct, meanwhile, is back behind the tower with the wolves. Orange moving their way in, and Icy looks like he will now be able to move over to the dire side of the map to be able to pick himself up some farm.
Middle tower is under
Just Kabu and Lanham doing some dewarding down in the river, or down in the forest. Prophet ultimate going to be bouncing through. They brought down the tower. Can they get anything with the relocate? In jumps KYXY, just right click. He needs to be cautious of the tether stun. He is getting mana leaked out right now. Going to get hit by that one. Kabu just needs a few more seconds to survive. Will be able to get back to safety, so no casualties for that fight. Aside from the tier 2 tower on top. But Orange, I think they just recently, just about a minute ago, lost the Aegis. It's on their side of the map. Roshan should be theirs the next time around as well. I see trying to grab some farm, but he's doing pretty well for himself. Necro 3 finished for the Lycanthrope, and Ohio is working his way towards the mech. Do we have the mech finished on the Wisp? Almost? No, not quite. He's been buying sentry wards. Again, Keeper of the Light is just dirt poor right now, and the mech is actually finished for Ohio. So not only did Orange have the advantage as far as the farm is concerned, they've now got the mech advantage in teamfights, and that's going to be difficult. That's a little bit of an extra hurdle for Rattlesnake to try and make their way through. But Rattlesnake, if they can get to the late game with reasonable farm, then they might be in an okay spot. As the game drags on past the 20-minute mark, where we've only just reached now, then they might be able to bring it back. Hexes and a lot of lockdown for the Lycanthrope, and Tiny having more points in Craggy Exterior and having some good right click, and maybe an AC and maybe an Aghanim Scepter, and the shopping list starts to look pretty long. But right now, Rattlesnake are still kind of just scrounging for scraps, and well, fortification pops, but the Radiant will be able to pick up the tower. Keeper of the Light trying to counter push on the bottom lane, but will be immediately brought down. So it looks like Orange just going to snag themselves a tier 2. Fortification used, but I think that's just a sign for Orange to go right up onto the high ground if they can. And Rattlesnake, in the meantime, just trying to get trades. Tier 1 tower will go down, Tier 1 tower will down. Buyback from the Keeper of the Light. And also a TP about 3,000 units just to get this Illuminate. Needs to be careful about these softened up Necro creeps though. They're not actually that susceptible to damage. But But yeah, RSnake walk in, Lanham's got no mana, Lou gonna pop off the BKB, they stun up on KYXY, but he gets defensively disrupted, so he's going to be fine. The tower is down, KYXY gonna pop the ult, Wolves doing their job as well, Mana Leak will drop his mana pool, but RSnake already down to tier 3, down the BKB on the Dragon Knight, and Orange considering re-engaging here. Maybe just waiting on, well, long time on Necro cooldowns just yet. But Lanham chases out, blink away from Mushi at the last second. It looks like that's going to end up being it. No, they shackle up on Lanham. Have they chased too far out of the base? Another nice blinding light, but looks like Tiny is going to be the focus. Can they bring him down just yet? Wisp is relocated out, but he didn't bring the Tiny along for the ride, and so Luo is going to drop as well. Lanham with the buyback, is he going to be brought back along with the Wisp? No, I think Wisp's life is completely forfeit here. Kabu just wants someone to actually tether to, is able to do so. Lanham comes in with the save, throws the avalanche stun in the opposite direction from Orange. Looks like nobody wanting to cross the stairs there, but RSnake down the Dragon Knight. They just bought back as well. Orange claim a huge lead, and Roshan's just respawned. So I think they might just be able to go and snag that, especially with relocate on cooldown, especially with the lanes. Well, actually the lanes are in a good position for RSnake right now, so it looks like the Prophet ult has been doing its job, but Orange, again, they are very, very fast in the pit, and I don't think this will take them all too long. Meanwhile, KYXY, what's he got? Just going to start working towards that BKB. Ogre Club already acquired. Mushi, meanwhile, at the beginnings of that Hex, still only boots of speed for him. So kind of a, just, well, he doesn't need it, I guess. He's got Necro 3. Brown boots are perfectly adequate. I see, we'll try and, what? I see, okay, so this is, I think this is now the game plan for RSnake, and if nobody's seen this before, there is a very weird interaction. If you Helm of the Dominator an enemy creep, and you put that Helm of the Dominator creep in the backdoor protection removal radius, you will remove backdoor protection. So the game plan right now, Mushi's in a little bit of trouble, but defensive disruption's going to come in, and Kabu is just going to drop. Nice little bit of turnaround there for Orange, and Lanham will just be dragged back to safety by the recall. But going back to that thought about this Helm of the Dominator on Icy, it's kind of a desperation move. The game plan is to dominate an enemy creep, and then put that creep somewhere near the tower so it disables backdoor protection so that he can backdoor towers, and Tiny Wisp can relocate in with the Aghanim's Manta and also be able to backdoor towers and things like that. But Orange, I don't think they're going to give them the opportunity to even get this cutesy strategy off once, because they are just charging down the bottom lane. BKB picked up for the Tiny, so I guess Tiny is realizing that he needs to just straight up fight. Nature's Prophet has the Dominator build, which is sort of a little bit cheekier, but RSnake gonna try and get in position to defend here. They don't have fortification. They do have a sentry ward down, but the Necro minions, in they come, and they just have to try and deal with these as quickly as they can. One is gonna get dominated, so the Helm of the Dominator is also nice for that. Kabu in some trouble, a couple of right clicks to bring him down. Mech's gonna pop off very defensively. Nice sprout. KYXY focused for now, but he does have the Aegis, gonna keep on fighting, but Mushi gonna throw out the Sonic Wave only onto the Wisp. Force Staff during the toss. Bit of a dunk there for Mushi as he flies back to his team, and Lanham, a couple more right clicks to bring him down. BKB wearing off. Aegis going to be popped with the Lycanthrope, and Orange just keep chasing back. Get the disruption. Sprout up on Ohio. He's looking for the Shackle right now, and we're just going to hold it. Rax is already gone. The tier 2 is still standing mid, but Nyx Assassin has bought himself a Blink Dagger. We've got a Force Staff for Windrunner, and I think Orange just, well, things are looking great. No Tiny for 30 seconds. They are kind of backing out right now, but they can probably re-engage on a whim. Yeah, Luo not going to get disrupted. The catcher as well. Mushi jumping in. They bring down the range barracks. There will be a stun from Luo. Another Force Staff out. Mech popping off as well. And the relocate. Where has it gone? Straight back to the fountain. So nicely done there by Kabu. And he's just going to be a couple of feet away from where he left. But RSnake now down to Rax. So it looks like Icy was maybe just grabbing the Dominator to steal... to be able to steal the Necrobook creeps, so maybe he's not going to be going for the cutesy strats of stealing one of the enemy creeps and disabling backdoor protection. It's something that they could look to do. I don't know if it'll win them the game, but yeah. So apologies for that, guys. A little bit too much speculation for me, maybe a little bit too out there. Ice is just going to keep on farming, but I mean, all the gold just to steal Necrobooks, I don't know if it's worth it, but looks like Icy considers it money well spent. Okay, who am I to criticize? I'm digging myself a hole here, guys, and I'm just gonna drop the topic before I lose myself any more points. So Icy just gonna back off and farm. Orange keep the lanes pressured out. They're not upper racks, so things get even easier from this point forward. As far as the graphs are concerned, it's a 10k gold lead. We're heading towards a 7.5k experience lead as well. As far as item progression is concerned, what have we got? We've had that BKB on the Tiny for a little bit now. We've got both Necro 3s finished, as we saw earlier, and Mushi, how close are you to your Hex? Making good progress at the moment. BKB now also up for Lycan, and it hasn't been used just yet. Meanwhile, on mid, they're going to be able to jump Landom. Craggy Exterior doing its job. Shackle not going to latch. Kabu's still able to run back there. Meanwhile, on bottom lane, Icy's going to get jumped here by the gank squad from Orange, and will be brought down. So no split push from the Rattlesnake side for a little bit. Do they have buyback on the Prophet? They do, but does it amount to that much? We shall have to see. Keeper of Light going to do his best to keep the wave pushed out and buy time for him to respawn. Dragonite is level 13. Also has a Dominator, so it looks like Rattlesnake, the game plan is just steal all the Necro units right now. And yeah, just going to keep on... Orange is going to keep on pushing in. I mean, they're a long way ahead. They've got a 10-second BKB to use on the Lycan. They don't have the Aegis this time around, but I think BKB a fine substitute. And yeah, Rattlesnake just decidedly on the back foot. Nature's Prophet is respawned, but just walking back to the fight. Not really doing too much split pressuring. The bottom lane is pushing in, so eventually Rattlesnake will have to send somebody to deal with that, which means that the tier 2 is eventually forfeit, and Orange, in control of the lead, have no incentive whatsoever to back off and go and farm. There's the Necro units. Have they all been stolen? They will -1 and steal the other. They're going to toss the Dragonite in, the amazing flying DK right now. Pops with the BKB, but KYXY also popping the BKB. Landom also with the BKB. Here comes the right-click Sonic Wave over the top, but I think it's just in the BKB units. Kabu in some trouble, gets Carapace stunned. They bring down Icy, one of the few heroes without a BKB. Mushi going to keep linking over the top, brings down the Wisp. Rattlesnake keep on chasing. They buy back on the Nature's Prophet. Orange haven't lost anybody just yet, but they will be able to bring down, Net. And a couple more heroes dropping on the back lines of the fight. Mushi dropped down. Orange go for the dive on the tier 2, do kind of get punished for it. They are able to bring down Luo in the meantime. And camera control got a bit chunky in that fight, guys, so apologies for that. Icy just going to be forced to deal with the bottom lane. Rattlesnake showing that there is still maybe some hope here, though that did come at the investment of a buyback. And still kind of difficult for them to get off of their side of the map. Landom still pushing the efficiency. Going to drop his drum before using the stick charges there. But this is this poor Keeper of the Light, and I mean that both in a he has no money sense and he has a bunch of deaths and no money sense. So Sag not very happy with his lot in life right now. And Orange just gonna back off, probably grab a couple more items. Maybe need to be a little bit worried now. The Tiny is starting to become more threatening. The Dragonite right click is becoming more relevant. He's still got level 16 to pick up, and I guess the Necrobook gold. They invested a bunch into the Necrobooks, and I guess in terms of in a monetary sense, they're stealing more than half of the effectiveness of the Necrobook. I guess if you count the active as the only cost, then they're stealing more than half of the effectiveness for not anywhere close to the cost, but seems to be working out pretty well for them right now. Mushi is going to walk straight into Keeper of the Light here. Doesn't quite have his Hex, but only 800 gold away, which will help deal with these pesky BKBs over on the Rattlesnake side. And yeah, Necrobooks too quickly de-ward there for Orange. And poor Caudle needs to be careful. Yeah, so just backing off. They do have another ward, but that one's not long for this world either, as the Necro units will just skirt the edge. No, not going to be able to bring it down. But Icy keeps on farming, 2.4k gold. Tiny is doing pretty well for himself. Will be able to finish up his Manta Style or start working his way towards his Aghanim Scepter pretty soon. And Landom doing really well, keeping up the pace in terms of farm, despite Rattlesnake really being forced back into a corner. So that's going well. And Roshan's about to respawn, so that's going to be the next big fight, and that's something that they can actually hope to get an advantage out of if they win a fight. I mean, fighting at their base, it's nice because they get Orange off their back, and maybe they get a couple of kills and they end some streaks, and they put a bit of a dent in the graphs. But for the most part, they haven't flipped the game over just yet. But they're getting some reasonable split pushing going on. Luo just farming top lane, and yeah, Orange just splitting up, taking control of their own jungle, the Radiant jungle, Ancients around the map, and just going to now start pushing out this farm lead a little bit more. But I have to commend RSnake. They're doing their best to also make use of the map. Just need to be careful that they don't get picked off. They are running really blind right now. Orange are somewhere in the fog, but they have no idea where. And I mean, if they knew where they were, that they could probably relocate onto them and try and get some pickoffs and stall out the game even longer, which would be great because again, I feel like there's still tips to win the late game, especially since now their primary farmers are sort of back on their feet. Though Nature's Prophet isn't looking all that rich. He's still he's still working his way towards a hex. He's a ways away, 2.7k gold still to pick up. Speaking of hexes, does Mushi have his? Yes, he does, and does now have treads as well, so no longer brown boots. Looking a little bit more stylish than the poor Keeper of the Light, who's still just running around with 2 bracers and some brown boots right now. Meanwhile, Sneaky Wolves just move clicking, getting some vision here for Orange. Roshan about 30 seconds away. 25 seconds as I say that. And Orange looking to secure both Aegis and Cheese for another push. Try and take another axe. There's still the tier 2 up on mid, but only hanging in there by a thread. And Lanham gonna shop up, wants the Aghanim Scepter. What relevant buybacks are available? A couple right now. KYXY. What's he got? I would expect that he's probably going to pick up a Basher next. Do they have an AC somewhere? No, so that's probably an option for him as well. And meanwhile, Mushi is actually in the enemy base, getting a kill. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm now drooping, and I'm now apparently on tilt as far as casting is concerned. But so Mushi's gonna jump in along with the Nyx Assassin. They've got a Blink Dagger, they've got a Blink, they've got a Hex. Very easy to bring him down, and they've now got the Nature's Prophet off their back, and Orange just gonna push in on mid lane. Meanwhile, top side, Lanham and Kabu gonna bring down that tower, and Orange, they don't even need to set up for mid. They will have to defend top lane, but they can just head back towards Roshan. There isn't a buyback on the Nature's Prophet, but looks like he will be able to respawn. Pressure from Lanham, but he goes up onto the high ground. This is trouble. Will Wisp relocate him back to safety? Kabu's made the call, but I think that's just his life, and Orange find a DD rune just to be able to bring down this Roshan even faster. So Orange are going to camp Wisp. They're going to lose Roshan, they're going to lose Wisp's life. They will be able to get the Nature's Prophet back for more split push. And actually, no, what am I talking about? Beautiful timing on the recall there. Sag will drag Kabu back to base. So, no casualties whatsoever from RSnake, and I'm also forgetting my cute little interactions there. So, good job. And RSnake, if you could call their game plan anything, I think it has to be cute so far. Stealing the Necrobooks, bringing back the Wisp after the relocate, and I'm apparently, yeah, just not doing a great job tonight, so apologies for that. Meanwhile, I'm going to get some more farm, 1.4k up for him. We've got the Aegis, we've got the Cheese. Who are they on? Cheese on KYXY, Aegis onto Mushi. So probably able to get 2 uses out of his Hex in these fights. And doesn't have a BKB, so the Aegis gives him a license to be able to blink in more aggressively here. And in comes the push mid. Icy going to do his best on the top lane. And RSnake forced into a defensive position, but they will have to eventually deal with bottom lane, which will force somebody across. And that somebody might be jumped by Orange, or when that somebody goes across, Orange can just look to jump the person that's furthest out. They haven't been able to establish a high ground ward or anything like that just yet. But mass Necrobooks are coming, and they're going to jump in, they're going to hex up onto Lanham, jumping on Sag as well. The Necrobooks will bring him down. BKB, popped by KYXY, but they're just straight onto the racks. They've still got a fortification up, but they stole the Necrobook, but it immediately gets shackled onto Luo. Nicely done there. They get the defensive disruption on the Lycan. He used the BKB maybe a little bit preemptively, and looks like he now will almost go down. Going to pop the Cheese. Windrunner dropped. Tossed on top of his head. Now net stunned up. Luo going to keep on right-clicking. Mushi jumping in, and Sonic Wave and Stun will bring down the Dragon Knight. Lanham gets the Carapace hit in the face. Overcharge still doing its job. Kabu playing it safe in the back lines. They've lost 2 so far. Looks like RSnake will be able to defend. Another Sprout. KYXY in trouble. Nice defensive disruption. Extinct going to jump in. 2-man stun. Can they bring down Kabu? They will. Survivability for the Tiny. Now in a little bit of trouble. Mushi still got the Aegis. Will be brought down. Icy right-clicking, and looks like Stun not quite connecting there onto Lanham. They're going to get the toss onto Extinct. Down he will go. Luo is back into the fight, buying back for that. And another very successful defense for RSnake, as they will get Orange off their back, despite having an Aegis and Cheese. So things now looking really good for RSnake. They're down by 10 kills, but I expect the Golden Experience to start moving back in the opposite direction. And I mean, if they can maybe get enough gold to buy a gem or something like that, and they don't even need to secure that much more map presence, because I'd really like to see them just do the cheeky Dominator strat of Prophet TP's in, dominates a creep, they relocate the Tiny Wisp. So Prophet TP's in right as the creep wave spawns, you dominate one, you kill the rest, Tiny Wisp relocate in with a Manta style, chop everything down, and just immediately escape. So yeah, Rattlesnake, they've got the opportunities to bring down some Raxes here. There's still tier 2s up as a safety net for Orange, but that push is really telling because that was cheese, that was Aegis, that was 7 lives for them. Rattlesnake, granted, did use a buyback on the Dragon Knight, so they effectively had 6, but Keeper of the Light got bursted down at the start of the fight, and Tiny is just doing the heavy lifting right now, and also has his Manta style finished up. Orange would love a pick off on him, but Kabu, ever the faithful sidekick, is ready to bail him out at the slightest provocation. Queen of Pain Illusion just gonna walk around, and now Kabu splits off from the group, and that might be it for him. He's gonna pop the mech, but no, right click Mushi will drop him down.
Ha ha.
So, leaving the tour group, not the best. He probably bought enough time for Landon to just be safely recalled back at the cost of his own life, and he's only 30 seconds away from respawning. Orange need to be careful that they don't get caught here. Net jumped on the middle lane, almost comboed down. He's not long for this world, as Tiny's just going to throw one more swing of his tree, and that'll be it. KOXY choosing to transition over to the split push plan, will be able to pick himself up an AC, so a little bit tankier for this next push. Mushi going to blink up very aggressively here, but Queen of, well actually no, he's blinking defensively, there's nobody top lane. But yeah, Orange now find themselves outside the tier 3 tower again. What can they do? Wisp is just about to respawn. They don't have the Shadow Demon, and I hope they're not underestimating how clutch the defensive disruptions have been in this game. Because, yeah, Rattlesnake, they've got more items. They've got level 16 on the Dragon Knight, and Tiny now has his Manta style as well. So losing a fight for Orange could spell a couple of towers, and then, again, the Nature's Prophet split push is becoming more relevant. Does Icy have his Hex yet? Yes, he does. So, even the BKB on KOXY is no guarantee of safety. And yeah, Orange now just playing this a little bit more cautiously. Ohio has another Necrobook. So it looks like Orange want to be able to bring down Raxes without getting anywhere near. They're completely hands off, not feeling confident to take the fight. And Extinct, just Ghost Scepter. And Blink hasn't really acquired too much extra gold. Gold is still moving out, and Golden Experience is still moving out in favor of Orange for now. But Lanham's up on top. He's got Manta Style Illusions, going to keep the pressure on. Meanwhile, Icy is just back at base. Top lane, at the very least, is being dealt with well by Rattlesnake. Unfortunately, their bottom lane is pretty much completely cleared out. They've lost all of their buildings, so somebody needs to be down here more or less constantly. And Orange looking for the pickoffs on mid. Can they jump Lua? They get the catcher. They've got the Purge. Shackle not going to connect. He throws at the BKB. Can they bring him down? In comes KYXY. They're going to Blinding Light him back. Also hexing him up. Big pops from Lua as he uses both the BKB and the DK Ultimate. And the DK Ultimate, a long enough cooldown that Orange will have a 55-second window to be able to maybe push up onto the high ground. Icy going to do his best to make his way top. But are Orange actually going to deal with that? Looks like they're going to have to, but Icy is already TPing back to safety, not wanting to risk a pickoff whatsoever at the hands of the Nyx Assassin and the Queen of Pain. Meanwhile, we've got Necro 2 completed for Ohio. Mushi has an Ethereal Blade, and Mask of Madness for Tiny. So Landham is just hoping to cleave everybody down before they can even react. And he is looking very scary now. A little bit behind in terms of overall farm compared to the Orange core farmers, but still looking pretty good. The Ethereal Blade will be a bit of an obstacle for him, but still has the Manta Style and the BKB to be able to get through it, and Sagwalk straight out, and Lua immediately gets Hex in the Dragon form, now wearing off in the duration of the Hex. He's a long way out of base, going to pop off the BKB, but still being right-clicked. The rest of the Orange side making their way in. The Relocate made its way over the top from Rattlesnake. Will be able to drive Orange back. Icy going to sprout himself in, but looks like there's no safety there. Will be brought down. Rattlesnake trying to take a fight outside of the base, but now they're losing heroes left, right, and center. And they've only got the 2 cores left. No buybacks. Rattlesnake, Disaster Strikes, and Orange. Only the fortification to work through right now. Might be Mega Creeps coming up soon. How much can Tiny do? He's still got the BKB, he's still got the Manta Style. And if Orange, I mean, they're probably going to give away 1 Rax. If Orange go for Megas or if they go for the tier 4s, then they will be forced to defend. They've now got the Keeper of the Light back, but I mean, Orange straight on to the next, and this is looking like it might just be it. No DK, no Nature's Prophet. They're going to jump in on top of Enemy, gets hexed up. The Shackle not to connect, but almost brought down. Will end up dropping. No buyback, 70 seconds. Orange with a huge jump in. And looks like that's going to be it. Kabu forced back to the fountain, as is the Keeper of the Light. Mushi just going to keep on right-clicking. If the fountain can see you here, it can actually kill you, so Mushi needs to be careful that they don't drop a sneaky sentry or he auto-attacks out. But looks like that might just be it. Orange going to clean up Mega Creeps, now heading back towards the fountain where RSnake, they've got the Dragon Knight and the Nature's Prophet back, but they no longer have the Tiny, and yeah, Orange now just heading in for a little bit of fountain farming fun. KYXY staying diligent, gonna head onto the tier 4s, but I don't know if RSnake can do too much about Mega Creeps. I want them to go in TP and backdoor this top racks, but we'll see if they do it. It's a bit of a weird mechanic, and I don't think it's actually supposed to work, that dominating an enemy creep should disable backdoor protection, but no, that's gonna be the GG. Sags had enough. Sad game for the Keeper of the Light, and looks like it's gonna be a sad series, as well as Orange are gonna close it out 2-0, guys. So Orange, they are going to be advancing to the grand final, and RSnake will be making their way down to the 3rd, 4th place decider, both of which will be held tomorrow, with the 3rd, 4th place decider happening first. But congratulations to Orange. We're not done as far as Dota is concerned for this evening. We've still got the other best of 3, Vici Gaming up against Zenith, to be played out, so I'll be back for that one. I've been Baseskip. I've been here in association with Dota Talk to provide some coverage of the AMD Dota Premier League. If you guys have been enjoying the cast so far, or even if you haven't, if you have some constructive feedback for me, then you can email me at baskipdota@gmail.com. This game was perhaps not my best, admittedly. But yeah, if you want to leave me some feedback, that's where you can find me. If you want to support the Dota Talk stream, then that would be very much appreciated. You can give them a follow. If you want the tournament details, you can check out dotatalk.com. But again, congratulations to Orange. RSnake, they're not out of the runnings just yet, but now sort of relegated to either 3rd or 4th place, so we'll be seeing them against the loser of Vici Gaming versus Zenith tomorrow. We'll look at the schedule once we finish with the best of 3s for this evening, but yeah, I've been Baseskip. It's been a pleasure casting for you so far this evening, and I'll be back soon with our next best out of 3. I'm not exactly sure when it will be played, hopefully as quickly as we can, though the scheduled time isn't for 27 minutes, so we'll see if the teams are ready to play. I'll give you guys an update as soon as I can.